rebel force has penetrated the shield and landed on Endor.
This is where the fun begins.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
This is Rebel Force Radio.
Your source for the Force.
Star Wars news and commentary.
With Jason Swank and Jimmy Mack.
I've seen Star Wars 500 times.
Star Wars #1!
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest we use it.
Now it's time for Rebel Force Radio.
We would be honored if you would join us.
All right, chut, everyone. Welcome back to Rebel Force Radio. Good to be with you. Thank you all for being here. I know for some of you, I know what you're thinking. You're like, we were just here. Well, if you're here last night, apologies. We had some trouble. I saw some people blaming the entire city of Canton, Ohio for the problems last night. Canton has no internet. The one guy said Ohio has no internet. That's what happens when you got a big city fellow like Jimmy Mack said. Canton's blowing it for everybody. They don't have Chicago internet. But I tell you what, it's going to take a lot more than an internet outage to stop this train. And we're so excited. What an incredible show we have for you this week. Live stream. So many of you have found us on YouTube through our after shows, for Mandalorian and Kenobi and Book of Boba Fett. But we thought we would do something really, really special. And it was just a couple weeks ago that Jimmy Mack mentioned that he had a trip planned out to Petaluma to visit Rancho Obi-Wan. And he said, wouldn't it be cool? And I said, yeah, wouldn't that be cool? And here we are, live stream from Rancho Obi-Wan. So here, I'm going to do the intro. As always, my good friend and yours from this week, Petaluma, Jimmy Mack.
Hey, Jason. Hey, Star Wars fans. I'm so happy to be here in Petaluma, California with this man, the great Steve Sansweet. We're here at Rancho Obi-Wan. Thank you so much for having me,
You're
Steve.
quite welcome. It's better than being in your basement.
Well, I have to say, you
of
have a couple more Star Wars items around here than I do.
One or two.
And it's, you can't look anywhere without seeing Star Wars. We're surrounded. I have Darth Maul joining me. Of course, we have Ben Kenobi, a favorite of yours that I know, an all-time favorite. And I think as the show goes on, we might want to talk a little bit about that Kenobi show that just wrapped up last month and hear what you thought
I
of
knew
that.
I was supposed to watch something.
All right, there was homework involved. And
Steve, did you set the TiVo for the Kenobi show? That might explain why you haven't seen it.
I recorded it on VHS, as Jimmy said. Yes.
Well, I like that. I like keeping it old school, keeping it vintage. But yeah, no, it's so great to see you both sitting there. I was wondering, Steve, what's worse, being in Jimmy Mack's basement or having him stay the week with you?
Now that's
How much time can I think about that?
You need a lot of time to think.
Yeah.
No, wait till I'm out of town.
You guys are always welcome, both of you.
Oh, that's very kind. Thank you so much.
Listen, that's just evident of the vibe here at Rancho Obi-Wan. Welcome to all Star Wars fans to come and visit the world's largest Star Wars collection, according to the Guinness Book and according to anyone with 2 pairs of eyeballs. When you walk into this place, it's wall-to-wall Star Wars. We're in the expansion area now. And I'm hoping maybe we could point this camera around in just a few. I could give you guys an idea of what my so-called office has been like this week. It's been great and just completely Star Wars. I mean, it's so incredible what you've done here. But a question I've always wanted to ask you, and I've never heard you talk about this. I've heard you talk about how the museum started, how you became involved with Star Wars as a career via your time at Lucasfilm, and how you got turned on to Star Wars when you found that catalog in the garbage can and saved it. But I've never heard you talk about the first time you saw Star Wars and where you were and what it was like for you, and was the impact as immediate as we would think it would be to lead to all of this?
Yeah, the impact was overwhelming. I saw Star Wars about 10 days before it opened on the back lot of 20th Century Fox at the Darrell F. Zanuck Theater. It was an invitation to journalists
Wow.
in Los Angeles. I was at the time a reporter for the Wall Street Journal. And so a bunch of my colleagues and other journalists from around Los Angeles were there. And the first impression was always the best. And that's the Star Destroyer going overhead and all these hard-bitten journalists looking up overhead and then sort of giggling in self-reflection, like, what the hell are we doing looking overhead? And everybody was captured by the movie and the brilliance of the movie in that instant.
I love it. I love it. I love the idea of all the know-it-all journalists looking up at the ceiling of the theater. Now, did you do that too?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's how the effect was. I mean, nobody saw anything like Star Wars. And when it hit big and hard. And I mean, we've been watching the ILM documentary, Light Magic. Jason, have you had any chance to catch that?
I have. It's incredible. And I'm just really happy that they took the opportunity to get all of these guys back together on record and, kind of tell the story once and for all. Especially with George.
Yeah,
it's great
wonderful.
having new George interview footage.
Yeah, I was really pleased to see that too, having George there and just having all the guys who are still with us. And watching this thing has been just amazing. I haven't watched the whole series yet, but I've loved what I've seen so far.
Yeah, it's been great. If you guys have comments you want to make about it in the chat or you want to call into the show, we'll give you that phone number in just a minute. But as far as the chat goes, what I'd like everyone to know that's special, what makes this live stream special tonight is we're going to take any sort of tips or donations that come to us via Super Chat. And we're going to turn them over to Rancho Obi-Wan and make a donation in the name of all Rebel Force Radio listeners. So you can do that. And after this podcast drops, or tonight, if you'd rather, you can go to ranchoobiwan.org/donate, and you can make a donation there. That money goes directly to Rancho Obi-Wan. And you can also sign up for a membership. There's so much you can do over at ranchoobiwan.org to get connected to this incredible, one-of-a-kind Star Wars museum. Go to ranchoobiwan.org. But if you want to throw in a donation, do it tonight, ranchoobiwan.org/donate. Tell them RFR sent you. And let's make a difference and maintain the future of this museum, which is something that I also want to talk to you guys about.
Yeah, well, let me tell you where that money goes to. It's all for upkeep and maintenance. None of it goes to buy new merchandise. We get merchandise donated. I buy the stuff. Ann buys the stuff. Ann Newman, our president and chief executive officer and curator of the museum, who's been with us for 16 years.
Who's here with us right now and who I am going to bring onto camera to sit between you and me, Steve, so we could talk to Ann about all the cool things Rancho Obi-Wan does and maybe get some hints about the future of Rancho Obi-Wan. So I'm going to bring her up right now, ladies and gentlemen, the great Ann Newman. Big round of applause for Ann Newman. Yeah, everyone, give it up for Ann. Here she is, here coming between us. And you guys, this is one of my best friends in the world.
Squeezies.
So this is Ann Newman, and if you attend Star Wars Celebration or may have gone to the collector panels, you have seen Ann in panels over the years, talking about maintaining huge collections, talking about Rancho Obi-Wan, talking about being what I think is, sometimes a difficult road to navigate, being a female Star Wars fan of prominence and working with what is largely a boys club. And so Ann has talked about the women of Star Wars and all kind of panels and stuff. And so here she is. She's the museum manager. She's you have better titles than that, though.
Yes, president and chief executive officer.
Yes.
And curator.
Yes. And resident.
She lives under the museum.
Yeah.
She and her husband.
I keep the chickens too.
And chicken coop manager. And she manages Stu, which is, that's a full-time job in itself. So Stu's not here. I thought Stu would be hanging out. He'll probably pop in here later because I want everyone to know the family of Rancho Obi-Wan. These guys, they work together as a family to maintain this incredible place. And what can you tell us about the museum and the needs of the museum right now? What kind of pressing needs do we have?
Well, most of you might know that the museum is in a former chicken coop. Petaluma used to be the world's largest egg producing region. You've had some of our chicken eggs. There used to be 20,000 chickens living here, now replaced by 350,000 plus. We don't know how many really items of Star Wars memorabilia. And when Steve got here, he built out the first barn, correct?
Yes.
And then
1998 through 1999.
Oh, look, Jason showing some video
oh, yeah, there you go.
of that. Now that's what do we call this part of the museum? I call this
the front bay,
the place where my brains explode all over. I got so disoriented walking into the museum a couple of days ago to set up all this computer gear and everything that we're going to do for the show. You'll love this, Wayne. I came in and I got so disoriented at the top of the steps that I leaned into this. You'll have to tell me about this item. It's
the Death Star piece panel.
They're pieces of the Death Star up on the wall. Now that's not like legitimate movie prop.
No, these are actually cast from my legitimate movie prop Death Star pieces, and they're resin.
I don't think he would leave that. I don't think he'd leave the real one just hanging around for you, Mac.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking, but it's part of the museum anyway.
Right.
It's more than anything I've seen in Newman collections. So all of these pieces were designed by the model group at ILM to interconnect to create the surface of the Death Star in the original New Hope. Lauren Peterson cast these models out of the
urethane foam.
And he sculpted them. And I think there were how many different variations of the little square panels?
There were mainly 6 different variations and 3 different sizes for the effect of it being longer than it really was.
I remember when Lauren had a book that came out a few years ago.
Sculpting the Galaxy.
Sculpting the Galaxy.
Amazing.
He included some replica molds of those items, those pieces, and those panels will be put together in all kind of different ways to create the surface of the Death Star. And it was all interchangeable and stuff. And when you walk into the museum, Jason, I think I sent the video to you of the damage I did.
Yes.
If there's
and I was who broke that.
Anyway,
turns out
I didn't even want to ask about it because I didn't want to have any part.
Oh, you saw that. That was me. So
a gun tower, a miniature gun tower.
He did see it. And this is
I am abashed.
Well, I abashed your wall decoration, your Death Star wall decoration. That was the first thing I did when I got here. So it only seemed inevitable we wouldn't have internet for the night we wanted to stream live with that.
It all happened when you broke
moment.
Steve's Death Star.
I broke the gun tower right off of the thing. And so I crap my pants. And come on, you let me off the hook. What did you say?
It wasn't the first time.
Wasn't the first time.
I may have broken it once too.
Oh no. Well, now the truth comes out. Mm-hmm. So we'll get that thing repaired.
But this is a real piece that we wanted to share.
Ooh.
That's the real one.
Bigger pieces.
Wow.
This is one of the larger
I have to touch it.
That's
wow.
incredible. That's it.
That's a big star.
For those of you watching,
it's an exhaust port.
Man, the history. You know, how many times a camera flew over that piece in the making of it? Wait a minute. Is that the Death Star 2? No. That's the first Death.
How can you tell?
I don't know.
Tell?
I
but
can't
I mean, this
tell.
is legit.
So that's fantastic.
This is our first guest star of the night.
Wow.
From the original Star Wars film, as seen on screen, this piece of the Death Star.
And Steve, you have a really nice story of how these came into your position.
Well, I got a call from a good friend of mine who was a model maker, and he was working on a job this is while I was still in Los Angeles. And he said, I'm working with a guy who says he has a box of Death Star pieces and he's looking to sell it. and would you be interested? And this was in 1996. So I had started working for Lucasfilm, but I was working from home and working on the Star Wars Encyclopedia.
Oh.
And so I went over there to Hollywood where they were working, and there was this very large box. And I opened it, and at the top were these green army soldiers, and I thought, well, this can't be real Death Star pieces. And then I dug a little deeper, and they were real Death Star pieces, and many. And I said, what do you want for this? Fearing that it would be just some astronomical figure. And he said, well, make me an offer. And I hate that. I never know how much to offer somebody. And I said, $1,000. And he said, oh no. And I thought, uh-oh, here it comes. He said, $800. I just need to pay this month's rent.
Good guy.
Really good guy.
Good guy.
So in the early days, it was possible to get things at what today would be considered super bargain prices.
Yeah.
And these pieces have remained with me for many years.
Wow.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. Well, so much of it I know was, famously thrown in dumpsters and back lots. And I think there was a story about, was it Gus Lopez, I think, who ended up with the one Death Star model that it was being used as being used as a trash can or something like that? It was just unbelievable where that stuff ended up.
Yeah, it was used as a trash can, and it was used in a bar and as a disco ball.
A disco ball.
The lives that it had.
The guys who owned it, it was left in a storage facility in L.A., where ILM originally was, as we've seen in the series. And the people who owned the storage facility were moving to the Midwest, and they took it with them, along with what they said were a bunch of little ships, spaceships, which they gave to the grandkids to play with, and they all got broken.
Oh,
my God.
Yeah, along with my heart. That's also broken.
They ended up having it at a flea market, and these college or high school kids saw it, knew exactly what it was, and didn't have the money for it. It was very little money at the time.
Steve, we got some super chats coming in. Eric from
sure
Phoenix,
do.
$100. Steve, thank you for taking the time to take a picture of me and my boys at Star Wars Celebration 2012. What was your favorite on-set moment during the prequels? That's his question for you.
What was my favorite on-set moment from the prequels?
Yes, you did spend time on
Yeah,
the
I was
sets.
on the prequels, all three movies, for about a week each, leading the International Fan Club insider editors. And probably the most thrilling moment was seeing Obi-Wan and Anakin fighting their episode 3 lightsaber fight on the planet, which of course on the planet Mustafar, which of course was just large wooden blocks and ramps and things like that. It was
covered in green, I assume.
All green.
Eric also had a follow-up question. What piece of Star Wars merchandise did you have a chance to buy but passed on that you wish you had bought? Anything you said no to and now you're regretting it? Thank you, Eric.
Yes. Back in the 90s, back in the 80s, actually, there was an art show, an outdoor art show at the Los Angeles Zoo, raising money for charity. And as I was walking along, I spotted this portrait of Chewbacca, and it looked really neat. And then there was another portrait of E.T. So it was 1983, I guess. And I got closer and I looked at it, and it was actually three-dimensional, the Chewbacca portrait. And I asked the guy, what's this made of? And he said, oh, it's hair that we sweep up from a barbershop floor. And my stomach immediately turned over. And he said, but we clean it.
Well, that's something.
But I quickly walked away, and I regret not buying it, because then for sure I could say, when somebody asked me what the tackiest item I had in the collection, that was it.
That would be it. That would be. I mean, you could never top that.
Out in the world, we would like it here at Rancho, Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Yeah, if somebody picked that up in 83.
Something you
Where
only
is it?
find at a flea market. That's for
The
sure.
Chewbacca hair portrait.
Hey, Joe Dallas, friend of the show, sends his love with Super Chat. Just saying hello. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate that. We also have another good friend, Peter Besser, saying, before the Forcecast RFR, I had a source for the Force during the dark times, the 90s. Steve Sansweet on QVC. Loved it. Taking the Rancho he said he's going to be taking the Rancho Obi-Wan tour on October 8th. Hope to see you, Steve and Ann. May the Force be with you. Thanks, Peter. That's very kind. And yeah, Steve, I also remember, just being so desperate and hungry for anything Star Wars, and you would go on QVC, and it was like, wow, there's still stuff. There's still, Star Wars is still alive, at least in some capacity. And you really kept that flame going for so many of us that, we're just yearning for it to come back.
It was a lot of fun, and I did it for about 5 years, from 1995 through 1999, and I did about 50 hours worth of QVC programming, some of it overnight, and most of it mid to late evening. It was live from a suburb of Philadelphia, so I would fly back east, have a chance to visit my family since I'm from Philadelphia. And I thoroughly enjoy doing the show, usually with Steve Bryant, who actually lives in the Sacramento area. We've chatted each other up. We've got to invite him to the museum. I just remembered that. I promised them, and then the pandemic came. So but QVC was great fun. I usually didn't get to see a lot of the stuff until I was actually there an hour before the show, and looked at some of it and said, how does that work? What is that?
No kidding. Wow. So you were really put on the spot in some ways to come up with something to say for these items.
Why, that's a beautiful Jar Jar Binks toy. I've never seen one like that, except at Walmart for half the price.
So something tells me that Jimmy Max has some old VHS tapes with Steve Sansweet on QVC. Yeah, I had a feeling. I had a feeling. Hey, if you want to give us a call, we'd love to hear from you. 708-866-1737. That's the phone number, and we will put you on if you have a question for Steve or Ann or me or Jimmy Mac. We would love to hear from you. Also, as a reminder, all Super Chats tonight go to Rancho Obi-Wan, and if you'd like to go and make a direct donation, you can do that over on their website. Whoops, not that website. Over at Rancho Obi-Wan. Where'd it go? There it is. RanchoObi-Wan.org/donate. I need more hands. Rancho Obi-Wan.
Hey, listen, I just want to say, Jason, you always do an outstanding job with all of the video that goes on during these live shows. And
thanks.
It just doesn't pop up automatically. This is all happening at the fingertips of Jedi Master Jason, and you always do a great job, man.
Wow, thank you. I appreciate it. So yeah, we've got the number up. Steve, I got a question for you that I've wanted to ask for a long time. And, Jimmy was asking about, the first time you saw Star Wars, but I'm curious, what was your Star Wars when you were growing up? What was the thing that excited you as a kid and captured your imagination?
Actually, it was the space program. It was NASA, Mercury, Gemini, Apollo, the moon landing. That really excited me, and that I loved science fiction growing up, and this was real life man into space and woman into space and dogs and monkeys into space.
For real.
It was, but for real. And that got me eventually into collecting Japanese wind-up and battery-operated space toys, a lot of which were based on the actual rockets and satellites that were launched starting in the late 50s and 60s, and then the Japanese robots. So that slightly predated Star Wars. It was a whole different collection. And I love Star Wars. I love the movie, as I said, for my reaction. And I started buying Star Wars toys as part of the space toy collection, because I was also buying Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon and
Star Trek, she whispered.
Star Trek, she whispered. I love Star Trek. And actually, when the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum did a Star Trek exhibit, they borrowed about 35 of my toys and all the toys in the Star Trek exhibit at the Smithsonian in Washington were from my collection.
Oh my gosh! So you have contributed to that other franchise.
I have indeed.
Wow.
And when I talked to them and when they came over to pack up the goodies and make the little boxes and everything, I said, someday you need to do a Star Wars exhibit. And that led to me introducing the head curator to the people at Lucasfilm. And 5 years later, there was a Star Wars exhibit.
Magic and the Myth.
Yeah.
That was outstanding.
So I had my hand slightly into that too.
It was 2000 is when that was out on the road. Magic and the Myth. It was
out on the road.
The Magic of Myth. I got that wrong. Well,
and there's a book too.
Great book.
There's a book. Yes, I have the book. Did you write that book?
No, I did not. The curator wrote it, but she, at the top of the title page, she credits me and Howard Rothman, who was vice president then of licensing.
But you are the guy who really sort of ignited the flame to, what do they say? Spark the fire, ignite the flame, spark the fire. They yell this at the Disney parks all the time. You're the one who did that to get the ball rolling on those Star Wars museum exhibits.
Yeah.
It's in your blood.
It is in your blood.
Star Wars is definitely in my blood.
Star Wars museums as well.
Star Wars museums? Yes, I guess so.
Are you jealous George Lucas is going to have his own museum?
No, I'm just so looking forward to that being completed and going down to Los Angeles and visiting.
I can't wait either.
George has an amazing art collection, and there'll be some Star Wars things there on exhibit, matte paintings, costumes, some amazing props. But I'm looking forward to seeing his Norman Rockwell collection all in one place.
He has the world's largest private collection of Rockwell.
It's he and Spielberg sort of
compete. Yeah,
they compete. And it's the Lucas Museum of Narrative Art. So it's how art tells a story. Yeah. And it's going to be fantastic.
I was heartbroken when everything fell apart for that to come to Chicago.
I was heartbroken when things fell apart before that to come to San Francisco.
It was supposed to be over there right off the Presidio Park there.
And then Cleveland had a chance, but Swank just blew it.
I blew it. Well, we don't have reliable internet apparently in the state of Ohio. Yeah. They can't have the museum here.
But maybe a Star Wars museum owners club could become appropriate, very exclusive. It could be you, and it could be George Lucas.
Well, his is not a Star Wars museum.
Well, yeah, they did make that point clear when they first started rolling that out in Chicago. Everyone tagged it the Star Wars Museum. Right. And I was trying to use whatever platform I had to sort of say, no, it's much more than that, explain to people, because most people don't understand he's an avid art collector.
Yes, and has been.
Yeah.
From comic art to fine art. I mean, it's amazing, the collection that he has in posters.
The posters.
Movie posters from all over the world. Just beautiful, beautiful framed posters that we were able to work with at both Skywalker Ranch and Big Rock Ranch.
Yeah, it's really spectacular. Yeah. When you walk the halls of the Lucasfilm campuses or at Skywalker Ranch, there are all of these international film posters on the walls. And that's just a tribute to George's love of film and cinema. He wasn't a passive filmmaker. He was very active in viewing as many films as he could to educate himself.
And he has a great eye, both for film and for art and for obviously for the movie posters and architecture.
Yeah. Yeah. So he does it all. You guys are doing it all. You're really lighting up the super chats.
Yeah, we got one here from Todd. Todd just saying, love Rancho. So thank you, Todd. Very nice of you. Also, we've got Jeff Holland. Jeff says, can't make the live show. Dello Feligits. Misa proposed that everyone who is watching this and Hissin live show should give immediately Republic credits to the Supreme Chancellor, Mr. Steve Sansweet, and Rancho Obi-Wan. Long live Rancho Obi-Wan. Thank you, Jeff.
Cheers.
Cheers. Sounds like somebody I used to know. Nice thing.
Daniel says, I'm hoping to visit Rancho Obi-Wan in the near future. Daniel, you've got to do it. You've got to do it. We've got our first call. Steve, now all of a sudden I'm thinking this is like the old QVC days. We've got our first caller.
And I have nothing to sell.
Just your ranch, Rancho Obi-Wan, and
donations. RanchoObiwan.org.
Yes. Let's see. We got Blake from Florida. Hello, Blake. You're on with Rebel Force Radio, and Steve Sansweet and Ann Newman. Hello, Blake.
Hey, chut, guys.
Hey, chut.
Hey, Blake.
Hey, good to talk to you guys. So my question for you guys is, well, first of all, thank you for everything, Rebel Force Radio and Rancho Obi-Wan and Steve, everything you guys do. Everyone in the Star Wars community, we all love you guys dearly. But my question to you guys is, so with everything being so online nowadays, with the Star Wars community online especially, I mean, I'm not too involved in too many other fandoms, but especially with the collecting community, it seems like a lot of the magic has disappeared with it being mainly online. And that seems to be affecting guys, even like me. Like, I have a very small Star Wars collection, but I also have some, anime stuff. I've started getting some Star Trek stuff, but, mainly Star Wars. But even, from guys with small Star Wars collections like me to guys with bigger collections, the magic seems to be, a little gone with everything being, like I say, exclusively online. Seems like, nowadays you have to be on Target for this or Walmart for that. And if you don't get on those certain things, you may miss out. So I just want to know, what are your tips for just kind of keeping it, whether it's a small collection like mine or bigger collections or, people that, who maybe collect from, a lot of different fandoms. Like, what is your tips for keeping the magic alive of collecting with things being so exclusively online nowadays?
Hey, thanks, Blake. Appreciate it, buddy.
It's a very good question. One of the things I think is the fan convention community is very active, and there are fan conventions of all kinds of sizes all over the U.S., all over the world, really. And I highly recommend going to some of the fan conventions that are closest to you, because you soak up that sense of community. It's a collecting community. It's a sci-fi fantasy community. And that's really important, I think, to see some of that live action. Going to Celebration this year, Star Wars Celebration, really had pumped me up a lot. And it was great fun. And we've done things. We've done some on our virtual museum to give people who can't get here and couldn't get here during the pandemic a chance to visit some of the items here. I was always afraid that by doing public relations and doing publicity and having video crews here, that would stop people from coming to Rancho Obi-Wan because they would see the stuff. And of course, it's just the opposite. It gets people excited to come, and we love sharing this with fans in person, doing our 2 to 3 hour tours with our docents, and just responding to all of the fun stories that our docents tell and seeing a lot of the objects. We move things around constantly to give it a fresh look. People come back once a year. We have our galas. We're going to talk about that a little later. We have something special coming up on August 20th that's open and free to everyone, to every Star Wars fan and Rancho Obi-Wan fan. But I highly recommend going out to some of these conventions in person.
Yeah, and if I could throw in too, if the thrill of the hunt is something that really appeals to you, yeah, you might be going into the big box stores and seeing empty pegs, right? That's frustrating. But what I recommend doing is checking out local garage sales, rummage sales, flea markets, and antique shops. You'd be surprised at what you find in some of these funky places. And that's a great place to hunt down Star Wars, especially when I'm looking for vintage or even Hasbro, modern stuff.
I would also suggest, and I like to talk to people about focusing their collections and being very small. We had this gal in here the other day. Her favorite character was Max Rebo. And I thought that was great because certainly there's not 10,000 Max Rebos, but enough to feel satisfying if you were to find them, or maybe you can even find some pre-production things or some prototype toys. So if you can find your niche where it's large enough but small enough, I think it's more satisfying to collect then. And also knowing that I'm going to tell everybody right now, there's no way that anybody on this planet will be able to have everything. So,
including Lucasfilm and Disney.
Absolutely. Not one entity, not one person will be able to get it all. So I think it's really important to let go of the need to have everything. I think it's more important, like Steve said, to collect experiences, to be part of your community, and then pull those things into your heart instead of needing to find every single thing.
And buy what you love and collect what you love.
Yeah.
And collect to collect. I
was just going to say, I got wrapped up in the have to have one of every figure in the Black Series and the Vintage Collection. And I've since gotten off my own back and asked myself when I go to make a purchase, do I have a connection to this character, to this figure? Because if I'm getting it just so I can throw it in a box somewhere and not display it because it doesn't go with, the stuff that I love, then what am I getting it for? So, and that's been really helpful. I really need a connection to the character. And of course that's a lot of characters, when it comes to Star Wars, but I've been around it enough that there's also stuff that I don't really connect with. It's for somebody else. So I just leave that on the shelf or, I move along.
Well, there's so much that's being produced these days that there's enough for everybody and for every taste and for every specialty.
Yes, absolutely.
Grogu is cute. Everybody should buy Grogu.
All right, let's talk about this. We have a giant Baby Yoda here. And I'm sorry, guys. I call him Baby Yoda, okay?
You may call him Baby Yoda.
Come here, this is our next guest here on Rebel Force Radio, live from here. We'll just put him right between you two guys. And this is gonna be for the Christmas card. Everyone get together and smile. And
this is from a fairly new licensee, Yogi Bo, that doing some really great stuff. I love their design and I love the awesome size of these things.
Oh my God. Look at this.
No.
He has a chair. Well, we have
Give him a
some
stomach
others.
ache.
We have some others here if you want to show them off.
Well, there's the Emperor's chair.
Hey, look, I have a new co-host.
Oh,
what's that?
That's the Emperor's chair.
Check that out.
As a plush.
A plush Emperor's chair. That's pretty cool. So you don't have to buy that one for 10 grand on at Regal Robot. You can get that.
The one at Regal Robot's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, it is. It is. I'm trying to talk myself out of it, Steve.
I love all of their stuff. They do some amazing things. Speaking of Max Rebo, I just got the Max Rebo maquette signed by Phil Tippett.
We all thought those were his hands. Those aren't his hands.
So these
so we're not sure what this is except the big orange plushy thing that we can maybe it's a intergalactic psychiatrist couch.
Yeah. It's a big lounger. All right, I don't know if you heard that. Ann says turn the camera away, she can get in but she can't get out.
Okay, so, all right. We want to give her privacy so she can
we'll do that.
Wedge herself out of there. Look at Grogu. That's fantastic. We got a few more super chats here. Let's go with Donder4 says, I need to visit your museum. Thank you, Stephen. Loved you at the RFR Bash. So he sends his regards.
Oh, that was a great bash. Love that.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming.
There. It was great because you were there. And it was great because
and Dan Madsen and Kevin Liel and
Daniel Logan
and his
Kyle
son,
Newman,
his adorable son.
Kyle was there.
Kyle Newman. Yeah, we had some great guests.
Stephen Constantino.
Yep.
Do you have a lot of Gamorrean Guard stuff around here? I don't see too much.
There's
Gamorrean Guard. Something tells me there's something back there in the art area. some kind of, and Anne is actually going back there to see if she could find.
Is there a velvet
Gamorrean
painting
guards.
of a Gamorrean guard somewhere?
Yeah.
No, we have a velvet painting of Admiral Akbar and Ben Kenobi.
Oh, now that's
not together.
Now that's cool. Now see that's something that should be in the Swank collection right there. Something like that. I don't know why I believe it should be in the Swank collection, but I just do.
What, the
while
velvet
Anne is
painting?
looking
Yeah, sure.
for, while Anne is on a scavenger hunt for Gamorrean guard stuff, I just want to talk about our first sponsor of tonight's show, Star Wars Episode 2, Cheesealicious. Cheesealicious. It's cheesy. It's delicious. It's Star Wars Episode 2, Cheesealicious. We ate the whole jar right before the show.
It was so good, and it was only 15 years old, 10 years old.
Yeah. We worked
Whatever.
around the mold. But there it
Hats
is.
off to
Cheddar
the marketing
cheese.
genius that named these cheesy snacks Cheesealicious. That must have taken all of 30 seconds.
I don't know how this was released and it didn't end up in my collection. I would still have the cheese in it.
Something tells me this was from Canada.
Black Diamond is the
Product
brand.
Taste
So.
Fromage fondue. So yeah, definitely multilingual,
Fromage.
and cheesy and delicious.
I wouldn't go that far.
Ooh, some of the stats on the back will blow your mind, and your arteries.
Chris
But that's
Hansford.
cheese delicious.
Chris Hansford jumps in with a super chat. He says, continue to save all the Star Wars stuff I destroyed as a child. Thank you, Steve.
I bet you guys get a lot of that. People come here. Come on, Nan, come back and say. No, okay, she's floating. But I bet a lot of people come here and say, "Oh my God, I had this."
Oh, yeah.
And you hear sometimes stories about how things got destroyed. Here we go. I'm not going to hold
Thank you.
that.
Thank you. This is by request. We said Steve was going to be doing requests. This is one of my all-time favorite items. I don't know why. It's, by the way, it's in his book, which I love, 1,000 Collectibles from a Galaxy Far, Far Away. You got to check this out. Look at this C-3PO tape dispenser. Now, the placement of the tape is somewhat suspect, but he has an expression. He has an expression that suggests he doesn't really mind the placement of the tape. But anyway, it is a really bizarre piece. It's hilarious. What is that piece, Steve? Where did that come from?
So it's part of a large line of Japanese ceramics from Sigma in the 80s, early 80s, 1980s.
Okay.
And then they did an entire separate line from Return of the Jedi with little ceramic figures that were matte painted and looked like little kids. Han Solo looks like he's about 16.
Oh my God. Well, it actually looks like 3PO's riding one of those bicycles that you see where it's kind of a low rider. I don't know what they call those things, but
the recumbent bikes?
Yes, exactly. That's right. I know it is the kind that Squidward rides on SpongeBob. If you listen to a lot of NPR, you might ride one of those bikes. But yeah, that's I appreciate you digging that out. That's one of my favorites. I do have a question for Anne. Came in for us. So Diana Orr, she says, she sent in a super chat and she says, Chut, my question is for Anne. What is your favorite piece at Rancho Obi-Wan and who is your favorite character?
Oh, well, I'll go grab my favorite piece in a minute and you can see it.
Okay.
And my favorite character from the classic trilogy is Yoda. And I love BB-8 and I love Grogu.
Oh, wow.
Piece of cake. Everyone loves Grogu, though.
But I'll go grab that piece and then Steve can tell you about it.
All right, here goes Ann. She's off again. and okay, a little limbo. With the mic with the mic. All right, I'm just going to try to get a better camera angle while Ann runs off to get her favorite item. And could you ever pinpoint a favorite item?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
I do. I have a favorite item, and it's probably the earliest item in the collection. It is a canvas banner that was used by the great late Charlie Lippincott to do a couple of Star Wars fan conventions in 1976, a full year before the movie came out.
Mm-hmm.
And the banner uses art done by Ralph McQuarrie of the Star Killer, which was the female male version of Luke Skywalker. And in fact, they started using Star Killer in the early filming of Star Wars and had to reshoot a couple of scenes because they changed the name to Skywalker. Can you imagine Star Killer Ranch?
Star Killer Ranch.
I don't think so.
Doesn't quite have the ring.
Yeah.
Star Killer Base.
So this is a canvas banner that was hand painted. The lettering was hand painted by Joe Johnston, who was the art director of ILM and has gone on to become a great and renowned director.
Legend. All right, here comes Ann with her favorite item. And here we go.
It's a plush Jawa.
It's a plush Jawa from Canada.
And why is this your favorite?
Well, look at him. He's so cute.
He's cute. And I've never seen him before outside of this collection.
And it's from...
Steve can tell you.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you're going to squeak and squeaker?
Yeah, you squeak a squeaker.
Oh.
Are we getting that?
Sounds like my puppy. Yeah, it's...
And it's from Regal Toy Unlimited in Canada. And there are all kinds of stories about what Regal Toy was, sort of an Avon door-to-door kind of thing, that these things weren't in stores, but they were sold in a catalog. So we're not really sure. No one has answered that question 100% to my mind. And there was a Chewbacca that was similar to the Kenner Chewbacca, and then a 2.5 foot tall Chewbacca, which was amazing that they used two of the bandoliers together because it was so big.
Wow.
And great stuff. Some of the Canadian items are really, really cool.
And what does that date back to, that Jawa? Is that vintage, or does that go back to the 90s?
1978.
1978. What's amazing about that is it has that unique style that you could see that on a shelf today. It doesn't look dated.
Cool.
Yeah, you're ahead of your time, buddy. If Ann's still there, I have a question for Ann, because as Steve was talking about, sometimes there's mystery behind these items, and Ann as the archivist, what are some of the stranger paths you've had to take in order to classify an item or find out who manufactured it? I mean, I would imagine you just jump on the phone, you search the web.
There's this really cool thing called Google.
But what do? You put plush Jawa and you just keep searching until you find it, or?
Well, the Google app has a photo search. It's, I don't know what it's called technically, but
Google Images.
Yeah, you actually plug in a picture and it will search the internet for similar pictures. And if you're lucky, it'll come up. But also what's more important than the photo is that you could put something up, say if it's Japanese, and it will take a picture of the Japanese characters, translate it for you, and show you what it is.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So you don't have to type anything anymore. You just take pictures. And that has been a recent innovation that's helped immensely. Otherwise, you know who I go to?
That guy over there.
He's in the next office down the hallway. Yeah.
Well, I try. If I don't know, I make it up.
Oh, I was going to say it's the Jocasta Nu concept, where if Steve doesn't know, then it doesn't exist.
Something like that. Some of the Japanese toys or objects, you really don't know what they are if they have no English on them.
Yeah.
So I recently got some character face masks from a company in Japan that ladies put on their faces at night, or I guess guys can do it too. What do you call those things?
Eye masks?
No, they're like with face
cream.
night cream mask.
Oh, I get it.
Oh,
I've the night cream mask.
Okay.
So I can imagine if Stu wakes up in the middle of the night and looks over at Ann and she's wearing her Chewbacca night cream mask.
Oh, can we get some video of that? Yeah, I think we have a project for late night tonight.
Yeah, it's a video of Ann or of Stu finding Ann wearing that.
No, well, yeah.
Here's
Really
a
great
super
combo.
chat from a good friend of the show, Mariana. She says, "Hey, Steve, who has been your favorite Star Wars celebrity, encounter, or interaction? Mine is the chosen one himself, Hayden Christensen, at Florida SuperCon 2021. So great to see him again in Obi-Wan Kenobi." Yeah, Mariana's a big Hayden fan. But was there anyone that really made a big impression on you?
Well, I think the person who always made a huge impression on me was the late Jeremy Bullock, Boba Fett. Jeremy would always travel to conventions around the world with his wonderful, lovely wife, Maureen, and they were so fan-friendly, both of them. And Jeremy would chat with anyone, anytime, and he was just the nicest guy and one of the best ambassadors for Star Wars that I can imagine. So I've always had a great relationship with Jeremy and miss him a lot.
His spirit lives on. We've talked.
It does indeed.
We've talked to our buddy Daniel Logan, who was taking mental notes over the years, standing next to that man, and he tries to make the spirit of the interactions live on.
And he does a great job doing it.
Yeah,
Daniel
yeah.
is super
wonderful guy.
super nice guy.
Yeah, he's really, really good with the fans. This is Shane. Shane writes in here. He says, first time I saw Steve was on QVC. My mom ordered his signed book from me in like 95. I like how he says in like 95.
Oh, you're an old dude like me, huh?
Well, I have to say, I never considered Star Wars collecting to be like an organized hobby or anything until I saw your book. You wrote with a guy,
Tom Tumbledge.
Tom, yeah,
Tom Jr.
and
TM.
he went by TN, yeah, and those books were for. I saw the second edition. That was the first time I ever saw any sort of organized book. And Tom gave me the book. He was a guest on a radio show I was producing, and so I bent his ear off about Star Wars collecting, and he gave me a copy of the book. And that was the first time I saw the name Steve Sansweet, and you were also the first person I ever heard refer to the field of Star Wars collecting. I'm like, oh, it's a field now.
Well, we Wall Street Journal types tend to speak in elevated terms.
Well, but it's because of
I
that
think you gave us
journalism
credibility. That's what I think.
That's exactly what I was just going to say.
And so did Lucasfilm think that too.
That is
That
true.
was the reason I got hired.
And how many years did you work at Lucasfilm?
I was hired for 1 year and guaranteed 1 year only, and there would be absolutely no possibility of an extension. And they just forgot to get rid of me for 15 years.
He's still in that office.
So I worked there from 1996 to 2011, and then I came back for a year of consulting in 2017.
Wow. What a long, strange trip it's been. Because here
It's
we
been
are
a great trip.
at Rancho Obi-Wan. And then when you left Lucasfilm, that's when the museum became accessible to the public via memberships.
Well, I knew I was leaving Lucasfilm the year before, and that's when we discussed, Ann and I and Concetta Parker, our wonderful social media guru, the idea of becoming a nonprofit institution and opening up the museum for public tours. And so, and we do memberships. You get a membership kit every year. It gives you the ability to tour Rancho Obi-Wan and attend special functions like our gala. And we've had 2 virtual galas in the last 2 years, and we're doing another one, but a little different this time. It's open to everyone on August 20th. And Ann, tell me about how people access it. Facebook. Rancho Obi-Wan on Facebook.
But become a member, because then you get these cool membership kits in the mail. This is mine, and I just got it. I haven't even looked at it yet, so I'm going to open it up. This is a Rancho Obi-Wan membership unboxing happening live on Rebel
And
Force
Ann
Radio.
saves a stamp. Look at that.
Yeah, and Ann saves us. So it comes in this nice little pocket. And what's that? Okay, all right. Just make sure Stu didn't slip anything in there specifically for me, you know.
So the memberships are a throwback to the old fan club kits that you would get, the Star Wars fan club kits. You get a card with your name on it with a thank you from Steve. And the patch this year, designed by our friend Kurt Hanks.
Look at that.
Before we knew anything about Obi-Wan Kenobi, the show. So really very timely on the design.
Very nice. I got that
this
Ewan
year,
McGregor Obi-Wan there.
Everybody's getting a trading card. This is what we gave
beautiful.
away at Celebration. So all members get this special trading card this year. And then there's a letter from Steve always of thanks and telling everybody what we're doing for the year, keeping everybody up to date on what we're doing. And so every year we do a new kit. So, and it's based on the calendar year. So if you get your membership in the calendar year, this is the kit that you will get. And we are on our 11th year.
And if you are a member the year before, then you get a pin.
Yes.
That's a membership pin, and that's a special.
Oh, that's on your other shirt.
Yeah, I guess I did crack open the membership kit because I was wearing my pin.
So as a
yesterday.
thank you for renewing any membership, you get a pin. So if it's your first year, you won't get the pin.
You get a what?
Pin.
Oh,
I have trouble. All right. I'm from Texas. I can't pronounce pin versus pin. Pin and pin. They're all the same.
I have to say, this is such a great way to support Rancho. I do it, and what I love about it is that I just it auto renews, so I never have to worry about it. It re-ups every year, and then I get that awesome kit in the mail, and time flies so fast. I like, oh my gosh, I got another kit, and it's just great. And you know that you've given back to Rancho, and it's just such an easy way to do it. Set it up through PayPal, and you never have to think about it again until you get that cool little present in the mail.
And I just wanted to also tell people that the membership donation is tax deductible on your taxes, depending on your tax situation. Please see your tax accountant for more information on that. But all donations to Rancho Obi-Wan are tax deductible. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. So all of your donations help us pay the insurance, keep up the building so it doesn't leak on the collectibles. Our mission is to inspire people through Star Wars stuff. We have plenty of stuffs to inspire us. So anything we can do to protect the collection, protect Steve Sansweet, we want to do that.
We put them in bubble wrap after the show is over. That's Stu's job. But I'll tell you, my accountant is very familiar with Rancho Obi-Wan at this point in time, so I can't vouch for the facts that it can actually help you out at tax time if you make a donation to Rancho Obi-Wan. So.
Hey, Steve, as a journalist, as a trained journalist yourself, I'm curious, what's a question that you would have asked a guy like you back when you were writing for the Wall Street Journal? I mean, if you came upon someone like the Steve Sansweet of today with this huge collection, what would you have asked?
That's a good question.
Couldn't you find something better to spend your money on? And I would have answered no, because it gives me great satisfaction and connects me with a worldwide community of fellow fans.
There you go. We got some calls here. We got a first time caller. That's always fun. We've got Jax from Utah. Jax from Utah, you're on with Rancho Obi-Wan and Rebel Force Radio. Hello.
Hello there. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Jax.
Great. Well, hey, thanks for taking my call, and thanks for everything you do. I'm been a listener for a while now, and I'd spent some time away from from Star Wars, and I've found myself getting back into it, particularly the character of Obi-Wan, bringing me back in, and with the Disney Plus show, I got excited enough that I finally got my first NeoPixel lightsaber and fulfilled a lifelong dream of getting a replica of Obi-Wan's hilt from Episode 3 in the collection. So, just thanks for all you do. And my question is for Steve. Aside from all the great iconic lines and costumes and performances in regard to the character of Obi-Wan, given that he's largely inspired me in my life, I'm wondering how the character has inspired you in your life and enough to carry on the legacy of the character, particularly in the name for your ranch there that I hope to visit someday.
That's another wonderful question. And Obi-Wan, the character, really did inspire me because he, in Star Wars, was the mentor. He was the one who started Luke on his journey of discovery. And in my professional career at the Wall Street Journal and at Lucasfilm, I really considered myself a mentor too. So I hired people. That was one of my responsibilities as bureau chief in Los Angeles for the Journal for 9 years. And then at Lucasfilm, I would bring in people like Pete Vilmer and Mary Franklin, and I would mentor them and make sure that they were getting along well and answer their questions and make them feel very welcome. Same thing in the Journal Bureau. So Obi-Wan has been a touchstone for me, and what he did in the movie, and I've translated into real life.
Yeah. Thanks for the question, Jackson. Thanks for calling in. Appreciate it. We got another call. We have Ty. Ty is calling in from Utah. Ty, you're on with...
Is he a fighter?
Yeah, are you a fighter,
fighter?
Ty?
Hello.
Oh, that's so bad.
Hello there. How are you guys doing?
Ty Knuckles tonight at 8 o'clock, and then the second show will be at 10.
I hope you appreciate the fact that you just got dad joked by Steve Sansweet.
Hello.
Hello. Is this thing on?
How you guys doing?
Doing very well. Good. Thanks for calling. What's on your mind tonight?
So I love that wallpaper and that quilt with all the Imperial stormtroopers behind y'all. It looks awesome. But also, Steve, it was cool to see you in the Rose Bowl, like dressed up like an Imperial stormtrooper, and on the documentary that they did about the 501st stormtroopers.
That was a wonderful
But my question is, since you've been retired, have you been enjoying retirement? Do you golf, or do you do those fun things and travel like all the fun retirement people do?
I wouldn't exactly say I'm officially retired, because what I'm doing now is helping to run the largest museum and collection of Star Wars collectibles. So my retirement will actually never happen.
Yeah, you might want to put quote marks around the word retirement.
So I retired from Lucasfilm, but then went on to another life leading Rancho Obi-Wan, turned over the presidency and the chief executive position to Anne about 6 months to a year ago, and she's doing a bang-up job. She did an amazing job at this year's celebration, put in months and months and months of hard work, and we had a fantastic celebration exhibit using stuff from members of our board of directors who are also major collectors: Gus Lopez, Duncan Jenkins, Lisa Stevens, and Vic Wirtz. So it was a fantastic exhibition that we had more than 8,000 people go through.
It was really museum quality right there in the convention center. Mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing.
And I've done some traveling too.
When you mentioned...
And you've written some books. And you've appeared in conventions all over the world. And you've been on television. And you've done interviews with Rebel Force Radio. You've kept busy.
I have.
Steve, how many books are you up to now that you've written or co-written?
17.
Wow.
Star Wars, just Star
Just
Wars.
Star Wars.
There was one on aversion therapy, a psychological kind of book. That was the first one. And then my first Star Wars book was Star Wars from Concept to Screen to Collectible, came out in 1992. And a lot of people praise me or blame me for sending them on the road to Star Wars collecting.
Yep.
What was the book you wrote that I read with Tom?
It was called I forget
the
the
price
full
guide.
name.
Was it
the price guide?
Something. Was it the Tomart?
Tomart Price Guide to Star Wars Collectibles,
Mhm.
2 editions, and then a hardcover edition that had a special insert in the back of unproduced toys.
That's right. No, I think I had the very first one, and I say had because when my kids were little, and I mean really little, they got their hands on that book and they loved it. They just loved looking at all the photos, and eventually destroyed the book. But that was the book that put me on the path to finding my spot in the field of Star Wars collecting. The field. I love that.
Steve, do you collect your own Star Wars books?
I have copies from every country that they were printed in, and the biggest one was the Star Wars Vault, which contains reproductions of all kinds of items.
Oh, such a
paper,
cool book.
Camera, and things like
Yeah.
that. And that was published in 8 different countries and 8 different languages. So that was fun to collect them all.
It was one of my all-time favorite books, without question.
Got a super chat here from David. David says, I've never been much of a Star Wars collector, but I'm proud to help out such an important Star Wars institution. Keep up the great work. So that's from David.
Thank
David,
you very
thanks.
much, David.
Yeah.
Thanks, David.
And let's see, we've got Mark. Mark is here, says, hi, Steve and Ann. What's going on with Rancho?
Mark is one of our docents.
Mark was here yesterday.
So he says, I think he's trying to get you to plug something. What's going on with Rancho in the near future? Also, besides Rancho, where should Star Wars fans visit when they're in the Bay Area? That's a great question. So if Star Wars fans are heading out to Rancho, what other sites might they
I can answer that, actually, if you want to know what's going on in the nearest future. Mark is doing a tour here on Friday, I believe. Saturday. And so he'll be here giving a tour. So that answers your question, Mark. Don't forget, you got to punch in on Saturday morning. You got work to do.
Well, you can go to Imagination Park in San Anselmo, where George lived for a long period of time. And you can see a bronze Yoda. We have one of the first of the bronze Yodas that were produced. There's one at every Lucasfilm headquarters. And the Imagination Park in San Anselmo has the bronze Yoda by Lawrence Noble, and also a full-size bronze sculpture of Indiana Jones. And there are plaques on this fountain that say Star Wars, written here, 1973, 74, whatever, and the same thing with Indiana Jones. So it's pretty cool. And there are lots of other great places to visit in San Francisco.
Speaking of Indiana Jones, he's a bit of a, I don't know, maybe like a cousin or a half brother to Star Wars. I mean, certainly, the Han Solo and Harrison Ford connection. Do you have any Indiana Jones pieces in your collection? Now, there's been a lot of mashups over the years too with characters.
Well, there's a Lego set that actually has the brick, an Indiana Jones Lego set of the Well of the
Souls.
Wall of the Souls. That sounded a little funny. I don't know why. that has the brick with R2D2 and C3PO, which was actually an Easter egg in the movie itself.
Oh, that made it to the Lego set. That's
and
really
made it
cool.
to the Lego set. So I have an Indiana Jones Lego set.
Oh, fantastic. Something else I wanted to mention too is you were talking about some of the other collectors in your circles, Gus and Duncan, two, notable ones. There is a real sense of, well, let's say there's a lack of a sense of competition. And if there is competition, it seems like it's a friendly competition. You don't get that with a lot of hobbies, and especially when it comes to collectors who tend to be, kind of, I don't know, sometimes in it for themselves. But in Star Wars in particular, you guys really, it seems like, create this network and are helping each other out a lot.
That's very true. I've known a lot of these folks since the 1990s, and it's a great section of people who get together. The most recent phenomenon in the last, for the people in Washington State and the Seattle area for the last 20 plus years, there are these regional and citywide collectors clubs. So in Seattle, in Washington, D.C. area, in Philadelphia, in Atlanta, these groups that get together sometimes as often as once a month at different people's houses, talking about the latest finds or sharing their vintage items. And it's this great in-person community again that really charges you up and recharges you if you're getting a little tired of things. And there's so much new Star Wars coming out, some on Disney Plus. I mean, we're talking about Andor coming up in just a couple of months, and the ILM show. Just some amazing opportunities to enjoy Star Wars all over again.
No doubt. Did you see the Andor trailer?
I sure did. It was very exciting. I loved Rogue One, the movie, so I'm really looking forward to this. And the showrunner clarified today that there are going to be 2 seasons of Andor.
Yeah.
And the first season lasts the in fantasy time frame lasts a year, and the second season of 12 episodes, there are 3 episode arcs, and each arc takes a year of time, and the last episode will lead right into Rogue One. So that's a pretty exciting concept.
What a roadmap that is for an exciting series. I didn't hear that today.
24 episodes.
Wow.
Yeah. So I only saw the trailer once, and I was hoping maybe we could take the opportunity just to watch it again and maybe share some thoughts about it. Is that possible, Jason? Can we pull that off?
Is it possible? Well, yeah, I think that it's possible. Let me see if I can grab that. Putting me on the spot here, Mac.
It's all right. I'll just use this opportunity to talk once again about our show sponsor, Cheesealicious, cheddar cheese. You know what? It's a taco dip that looks like Anakin Skywalker's face at the end of episode 3. Cheesealicious. But this is episode 2, Cheesealicious. So what kind of cheesy applications could this have to episode 2? I'm going to have to give this some real strong thought. Oh, Anne's off to go get another favorite item of hers that may or may not have some sort of connection to Cheesealicious. It's cheesy. It's delicious. It's Cheesealicious. And we'd like to thank them for sponsoring.
All right. I think I may have it, fellas. I think I got it right here.
Oh, great.
So there's no audio here, okay? So we're just going to have to pretend that we can hear it.
Okay. I'll do the Saw Gerrera voices.
Oh, okay.
Spoiler alert, Saw's on.
So
it doesn't look too Star Warsy to me. Like right away, I don't say, "Oh my God, new Star Wars," but we know where this is going. So
yes, we do. There's always in these Andor trailers always this sense of foreboding that something's coming. Look, it's that Star Destroyer that flew over Steve's head in 1977.
My goodness,
that's where it went.
I try to piece together what's happening in the trailer based on the imagery I'm seeing. And I want to think that this is from an early episode. Maybe Cassian Andor is still a child and he's seeing the Empire move into his system.
That's what I'm thinking.
Maybe
thinking.
Maybe they were like in an independent system of some, because there were systems that were independent of the Republic. And so naturally, those systems would have to be brought in line after the Republic becomes an empire, if the Empire is planning on expanding, which I'm sure they did. And so I think here we're seeing what might even be kind of I don't mean primitive, but like primitive compared to the technical power of the Empire.
Sure. Not as technologically, reliant. They might have lived closer to the ground, to the earth, not the earth, but to the soil, we'll say. But this is definitely a young Cassian. He's narrating. He's talking about at this point how do you steal? How you steal from the Empire? And he talks about you just walk in like you belong there, and take what you want. And then this just takes you right back to the prequels with the Senate Rotunda.
Senate.
Now that's great to see.
Looks like Chancellor Valorum is going to be in this. And Mon
Chancellor
Mothma.
Valorum?
Not
Is he still on the political
that's
playing
right.
field?
Well, he may be with Mon Mothma.
Right. I mean, just because he's no longer the chancellor doesn't necessarily mean he's been completely removed from the political mechanisms of the galaxy. But
I could be wrong.
The whole canon sticking together and everything. For some reason, I can recall a comic book panel featuring a ship that was destroyed, and it was Chancellor Valorum's ship. So they said they killed him. But I mean, there's wiggle room. If it was just the ship, maybe he wasn't on the ship. So I don't know if anybody in the chat or anyone wants to call in, if they have any recollection of what I'm talking about, a comic book panel featuring the destruction of Chancellor Valorum's ship, indicating that they killed him.
It had to happen.
He
was a loose thread. Okay. It had to happen.
Yeah. Well, right. Well, I get that. I get that with Palpatine's gangster mentality, no doubt about it.
Right. And here are some gangsters, I guess, but these fat and satisfied Imperial officers.
I think somebody online
drinking calf. Look at that, drinking calf.
Somebody said they're using Yeti cups. What's a Yeti cup?
Oh, isn't that that's a type of like a thermal kind of mug.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I've seen them.
Product placement
for like they're like expensive too. They're like $30 a cup.
Well, see, here's what's going to happen. Because actually, I was going to ask Steve about that because he has that Princess Leia necklace from the throne room scene of A New Hope. And Steve, you talk about it in your book. It's not a replica. It's a duplicate. And that it was an actual piece of jewelry that was produced, right? And then you ended up with the same one, essentially.
Yeah, hold on half a second.
Do you have it? I think it's right here.
Oh, really?
Matter of fact. Yeah.
Because as we were talking about these cups, that's a big thing. If check it out. That's it.
So this is a Finnish jewelry company from Finland. Finnish is also another word. Called Laponia Oy, and it's a line called Space Jewelry, and it existed in the 70s. And so the costumer apparently knew about it, and they either bought it or got it for the final scene in Star Wars.
So sometimes our own real world items appear in the films, and they might do a little kit bashing or something to make it less obvious. But it reminded me when Mac was talking about these cups in Andor. Can you think of other kind of real world things that were in the films?
Weapons? A lot of the weapons were done by Baptiste, which was an armorer used by motion picture companies in the UK. And they would get weapons, real world weapons, and then just add all kinds of greeblies onto them to make them look different.
And of course, the most famous example would be the lightsaber hilt itself, which was a modified handle for a flashbulb on an old camera. And
the Graphex, wasn't it called the Graphex?
Graphex, yeah.
Graphex, yeah. And then, in the prequels, they had the communicators that were Lady Bic razors, weren't they?
Yeah, that's right. Jason knew that because he actually uses one.
Only on my legs, Jimmy. Only on my legs.
It doesn't matter what it is. It matters what it looks like and what you can think it is.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a brief break from Andor because Ann Newman is back. She did find a Gamorrean guard. This is a wild one.
Oh, wow.
What can you tell us about this, Steve?
So this is a prototype from Gentle Giant, one of the prototype of one of the jumbo action figures that Gentle Giant has been doing it for a number of years.
Well, that's
so
cool.
It's a pre-production, pre-paint job.
How did you acquire this?
From Gentle Giant.
Yeah, they just gave it to you. Said, hey, you know what, Steve, I'd like this.
Well, over the years, I've had really good working relationships with a lot of the licensees, and sometimes new licensees, such as LG Electronics, with their OLED Star Wars television set limited to 501 numbered sets.
It's amazing.
We have set number 501 as a gift from LG OLED, and we're using it in the museum.
Hey, Steve, Yanni wants to know if when you were a journalist, were the photographers still using those Graflex cameras?
I worked for a newspaper that didn't use photos.
Oh my gosh, that's right. Wall Street Journal. They used illustrations, didn't they?
After I left, they went to full color photos and photos on the front page. But yes, all they did was use illustrations and charts.
Yeah, that's right. Back in the day. All
So
right, what does Matt
pointed
have?
the camera at the OLED TV just a minute ago, and there's this right next to the TV. I don't really know what it means, but it's a picture of Steve. And can you tell us a little bit about this, Steve?
So this was taken at Celebration, and it was part of their unveiling of the Star Wars LG OLED set. And it was just a promo item that they were giving away.
You look great.
It said you're one step closer to the dark side, Steve. I think that's what it says.
One step closer.
Yeah, well.
How little do they know?
No.
Scan to continue your exploration of the galaxy and download your gifts here. Oh, I get it. Okay, so you stand in front of this thing, and then
when the TV turns on, it has Darth Vader's lightsaber come on with the sound. Then there's two different art galleries using Star Wars pre-production art and art from a lot of artists like Christian Wagner and Sunea Sanda. And when you turn it off, it says, "May the Force be with you" on the screen.
Oh, man. See, now I need one. No.
I put it through the test. I put it through the test yesterday.
Yeah.
I screened the final episode of Kenobi.
Oh, it's brilliant on that set.
Really great. I mean, it's the future of television. I also watched a few episodes of The Mandalorian, and I had to jump back to 1977 and put on A New Hope. That's the truest test I could give it, because that's the film I'm the most familiar with. And I don't think I've ever seen it look better. They say the blacks, it's the blacks that really are it's just so dark that you don't feel like what you're watching is actually being projected in any sort of way. You know what I mean?
You should put Solo on there then. See how those blacks look. And all the darkness. You can't hardly see. You can't see the action much. That's what I hear. My TV doesn't produce the blacks enough. That's why I can't enjoy Solo. That's what they tell me.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a very dark movie. And so it's hard to make out. There's a lot of stuff going on in shadow. And
he's just trying to get me to go on my whole rant about how I don't like how Solo looks because it's too dark and shadowy and monochromatic and stuff. That's all he's trying to do. He's just trying
just that right there.
He's trying to poke me and get me to go on some big rant. I'm here in the holy, in the fertile crescent of Star Wars fandom
the
here.
Spiritual home of Star Wars collecting.
And you want me to go on some
That's
rant.
a new logo, Ann. The spiritual home of Star Wars collecting.
Oh, I like that.
Inspired by the Force.
I like that.
Of imagination.
Because
I just spout all these lines.
Genius. I mean, and we're all here witnessing it in real time, ladies and gentlemen, real time. But I mean, people do bring their collective spirit and love of Star Wars here. And they do look at the museum for inspiration, especially when you're dealing with larger collections that take up entire rooms or floors of your house, or in your entire house in some cases.
We have nothing Star Wars in the house.
I'm trying to think if you do, because I don't think in your actual home.
In my actual home, all the items are here in the museum.
Yeah, well, I have a Star Wars room, but occasionally, you might find a copy of Star Wars Insider magazine in the bathroom, right next to the toilet. That's right. Well, that's where I do my best reading.
Hey, let's go to a super chat. We've got
hi, Jimmy.
Speaking of which, I noticed Ann Newman brought a can of beans in here. I guess
that's a good transition.
That's a perfect segue, isn't it? Here's
Because
Ann with.
When you think of beans, you think of which character?
Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah.
There it is. Binks Beans.
No, Chewbacca.
Oh, is he? He's not the character I would think of.
It's not Binks Beans. No, it's Chewbacca. But I wouldn't think of Chewie as a bean guy. Chewbacca refried
You've never been near Chewbacca when he's had refried beans.
Oh, I can't imagine. Takes the paint off the walls from what I hear.
See, I think me and Jason both said Jar Jar because he's involved in that scene in episode 1 with the Eope and the Piausa and the and it even steps in a turd and sand. I'm in California when instead of saying moss, I say sand.
Yeah.
He was in moss.
He does. Yes, he does. He steps in some poo. Hey, here's a super chat. Oh, very kind, from Marcus Doring, friend of the show, and friend of Steve's as well. Thank you for everything you do and have done for the franchise and for us fans. Love you, and may the Force be with you.
Thank you, Marcus. Appreciate that.
It's very nice, Marcus. Very nice. So
we had a wedding ceremony at Celebration, Marcus and Lisa.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Congratulations, you two kids. And you, of course, were the guy who
I did
the officiant
ceremony.
The officiant. Thank you, Jason. Officiant.
Efficient.
Yes.
Very officious. The whole ceremony took 3.5 minutes.
How many weddings have you done, Steve? Because you are authorized, you are licensed to marry people legally.
That was my 11th, I think.
Wow.
So I've done a couple here at Rancho Obi-Wan. We've had we do private parties here too, so you can book Rancho Obi-Wan for a private party. We've had a couple of wedding dinners here. We've done the ceremonies across the street at the Lavender Honey Bee Farm. So
the ceremony's at the bee farm.
The ceremony is outdoors at the bee farm with a beautiful view and great scent and aroma. And then the wedding dinner is here, catered at Rancho Obi-Wan.
And instead of releasing doves, they release a hive of bees.
You've been there.
Now, you, of course, are going to work in May the Force be with you at some point.
No, Jimmy.
Yeah, you are.
No,
yeah,
I'm
you
not.
are. Yes, you are.
Another dad joke.
Another bad joke.
Marino writes, and Steve, this is Marino Frugoli. And Steve, love and miss you and the gang. Hope to see you soon. Jason, Jimmy, thanks for all you do. Keep up the great work. Question for all of you. Who is your daddy and what does he do? I don't know.
I'm afraid to get anywhere near that question.
Winky face. So I don't know if it's something we're supposed to know, but the reference is flown over this kid's head.
Marino is one of our good volunteers.
All right, so you have to ask him about that. It must be one of those inside docent jokes.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. They have their own culture. It's very underground. Hey, should we wrap up that Andor?
Oh
trailer?
Yeah, let's go. Let's go back over here and look. We were just admiring these gentlemen's Tervis cups. Is that what they are? Not Tervis. Yeti. Sorry, Yeti cups. So you can own a piece of Star Wars. Drinking the calf. This was giving me Ray vibes. You know, when you see the kind of the shabby makeshift shoes. This is definitely a scavenger here.
The young Cassian Andor is who I predict that is.
Yes, and here he is. He's looking like he's just in this shot, like he's a young cadet, or he's posing as a young cadet here.
Well, keep in mind that line he used at the beginning of the trailer, saying, all you have to do is sneak in and help yourself, right? Did he say that? Somebody said that at the beginning of the trailer. So I think that's what we're seeing him do right here. I think he's infiltrating.
Well, everybody was joining the Imperial Navy back then, even Biggs.
Right. Biggs!
Yeah.
I do that every time somebody says Biggs. I
have to.
I get very excited.
Yeah, Biggs, Han Solo was.
We had Mark's dog here yesterday with the big floppy ears, and his name is Biggs.
That's
a kind of
dog
to see
name.
a dog.
Yeah, it's a wonderful dog name.
See a dog named Biggs romp around Rancho Obi-Wan outside. That was perfect.
Until he crashed.
Did he? He crashed? Did he crash?
On the surface of the...
Oh, and then with the big music cue. Dun, 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 boom. Luthen is this character's name.
Yes.
And that is played by Stellan Skarsgård.
Great actor. This is a high pedigree actor here.
Yep.
And he's talking to a bearded Cassian Andor.
Right. So you can
keep your
see
eye on that facial hair throughout this trailer.
That's right.
Because it's on, it's off, it's on, it's off.
So you can see how it's covering a certain period of time. Really cool to see these clone troopers. Probably not for the people on the planet, but for us. And the
and Death Troopers.
Death Troopers. Yeah. She looks like she means business.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Now, this, I think they're introducing either a love interest or a parallel character with Cassian. I don't know who this is, but she shows up in quite a few.
These characters have been identified by Lucasfilm in some still shots they sent out, and I'm trying to pull those up now. But yeah, she has a name and a purpose. And I think you're right, Jason. I think she might be someone close to Cassian, perhaps a love interest.
Yeah, maybe or a relative, though. He's given me orphan vibes.
Little Orphan Andor.
Streaming September 21st. Yeah, that was interesting. We were speculating that it would come out at the end of August.
Well, that's what the original announcement was.
Well, it was officially at the end of August then. Okay.
Yes. Yes, it was.
I thought we were just, spitting into the wind there.
No. Well, you may have been.
I was more right than I knew. Check out this. So maybe he's going undercover here, or I'm not quite sure, but he's all in black, this Luthen character played by Skarsgård. And it looks like he, is going to meet with somebody, or this could be maybe some undercover mission.
The female Imperial we saw with the Death Troopers, her name is Supervisor Deidre Miro. And she's played by actress Denise Go. Go.
I forget this guy's name from Rogue One. As soon as I saw him, I knew.
Two tubes.
Type. Yeah.
You wouldn't know the name of
Yeah,
them.
no, not offhand.
And so when I saw this, I had a feeling that we were going to see the man.
For the greater good.
Yeah, it was good to see Saw Gerrera.
Yeah.
Obviously, a younger Saw Gerrera. Now, with Rogue One, there was a lot of footage shot of Forrest Whitaker playing a younger Saw Gerrera, and all that stuff got scrapped. And in those flashbacks, Saw had a clean-shaven head. We never saw him with hair until he was part machine, hitting that respirator mask, and he kind of had a Don King look to him,
Right.
But in this one, he has the same hairstyle pretty much, but you can tell he's younger because all the gray is gone. He doesn't appear to have any of those cybernetics.
Right.
So could we see what happened to Saw Gerrera in Andor and why he required the life support system?
It would be really interesting to see how that happened. Yeah, I agree. Especially if maybe not this first season, but the second season as we get closer to Rogue One.
Yeah.
Well, there were rumors about what caused Saw Gerrera's injuries. And one of those rumors was that it was a battle with Darth Vader.
That's right. So that'd be great if they can incorporate Vader into Andor, and why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
In that time period.
Yeah.
I really am excited to see as we delve more and more into these streaming series. They focus on what would be like the dark years of Star Wars, where the Empire is taking a foothold and really starting to oppress people and all that, because that is an area of the timeline that had been largely ignored up until about Star Wars Rebels. But in live action, that's the way I want to
there's
see
a lot of ground that can be covered and a lot of story that can be done.
An ample opportunity to bring Vader into the fold again.
Sure. I mean, one of the things that was so fun about Rebels was to see some of those famed pilots showing up and how they joined the rebellion. We saw a number of those pilots, including Wedge.
Yeah, but you know who we didn't see? Biggs! I love doing that.
You got the look, Jim. You got the look from Steve.
Let's call it whoa. My Forrest Whitaker voice.
Oh, very good. You sounded just like him.
Steve!
Okay, that's better.
Are you here to kill me?
Perhaps.
The world's best and only Saw Gerrera impersonator, ladies and gentlemen. He's available for parties,
bar mitzvahs, weddings, funerals.
And I will be appearing at Chuckles Comedy Club tomorrow night, right after Steve's second set.
All right. Got some transports. Boy, did this guy, he caused a stir a little bit online. They thought, a number of people thought that was Sam Witwer and maybe some sort of cameo by Star Killer. Or, excuse me. Yeah. I'm blanking on his character's name.
Yeah, Star Killer.
Yeah, the Star Killer.
Not Sam.
No, it is not Sam. But I can see he's got the chiseled features.
Yeah, but Sam has that kind of that dimpled chin. I mean, there's 100 things I can, set this guy apart from Sam. He actually looks a little more like Sam's brother, Michael, if you want the honest to God truth.
All right, well.
So maybe there's a similarity there, though. But I did see some people getting excited.
Let's start a rumor that it's Sam's brother, Michael.
Yeah, let's
Whitworth.
do that.
All
Let's
right.
do that.
So, Michael Whitwer showing up in the Andor series.
Linus, or is it Linus? Moss.
Yes.
See, I go with Linus. That's the traditional Charlie Brown in the Peanuts
So
game.
it must be Linus then.
So it must be Linus, exactly.
There's no Linus in Star Wars.
No.
Now, this dude, I love this guy because he looks like he just came right out of Episode 4, A New Hope. Look at those sideburns. I think he's great.
Bringing
He looks
sideburns back
vintage.
to the Star Wars galaxy.
Yeah.
That's important. I like how sideburns were only like fashionable during the Imperial era for Star Wars. And then, the galaxy got liberated and everyone shaved off their sideburns.
Sideburns were very in the 70s.
Yeah. Oh, look at these dudes. They must be the inspectors. Looks kind of like
What are they inspecting?
comedy
It looks like they're
duo.
standing next to an Imperial walker. That looks like a walker foot.
The foot
I
of
think.
a walker, yeah.
Is
kinda
it? I mean, I
does.
can't
I
really
don't
tell.
think so. I
Could
think it's
be.
those transports that we just saw.
Yeah, maybe it
Yeah,
is. Okay,
actually, yeah.
that's probably it.
Yep.
Yeah. Imperial design is rather standard.
Now
A
we're
lot
on
of things look
Coruscant. We
like-
saw a quick shot there of the. I'm assuming this is Coruscant, because then we kind of turn to the Mon Mothma phase. We know that what we've heard, fellas, is that this series is going to tell two parallel stories: is Cassian's story as well as Mon Mothma's. Now, how they intersect, we don't know if they'll intersect at all. It just, I would imagine they would have a character that might be a thread line between both of their lives, or it just could, maybe, I don't know, maybe they'll mix it up by episode. Because it looks like it's covering two different, potentially a long period of time for Cassian and maybe a shorter period of time for Mon Mothma. So it'll be interesting to see how they tell that. I love seeing the Imperial Shuttle here. That's one of my all-time favorite ships.
The classic.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite ships too.
Definitely. Is that a Lambda class?
Yes, it is.
Star
Very
Destroyer,
good.
or Imperial Shuttle. Thank you very much. Lambda.
The Lambda class.
And it looks like there's
They don't make
another
them like that.
I think there's another ship next to it, like already on the platform, and that looks similar to one of the ships we saw in Rogue One, another Imperial transport. You see it just there to the right?
Yeah.
I can't really tell.
And this Deidre, what was that? Deidre Miro? Deidre Miro. You're in my net.
Right. So it appears she's the same type of officer as Admiral Krennic was.
Yeah.
I don't know though, because the bars on her rank bar seems
I'm not
minimal.
good with determining what their rank is based on those bars.
We're
looks
looking
like
at a
they're planning
holographic
something here.
map, and possibly.
Looks like the Rebel command table.
It sure does.
Yeah, it sure does. Yeah, it looks very similar. And so these are Imperials, probably trying to figure out the best way to smoke out a Rebel stronghold or something. And they're looking at a holographic map on a war room table. Are you a fish or are you a thief? Well, it's a fish getting shout outs.
I was just going to say, yeah.
Star Wars. Fish.
I think that's the first time we've heard that word in Star Wars.
No.
You're saying no? We've heard
No.
fish?
I'm sorry. I'm just distracted by something.
Oh, that's all right. I already took care of that in the chat. Are you a fish?
Okay,
or a
that's
thief?
what I was distracted by.
Yeah.
I'm not logged in to knock that out. I can't do it.
Now, Skarsgård has a couple of looks in this, so they do seem to be jumping all over the timeline here. Or, we know there's a lot of espionage. This is about spying. Is this some sort of disguise maybe that he has with the longer hair? It seems like he's a man that's trying, just based on a little bit of the dialogue that you hear in this, I think he's a man that's trying to make amends for past sins, past crimes. Like he is, maybe he was with the Empire and he's seen the error of his ways. So it's like he's putting on airs here.
Jumps.
Yeah.
So, we could be seeing some flashbacks, or we can.
Yeah, it could be flashbacks, right? Oh, here we go. So maybe, so this is the thread. So we see Luthen, a younger Luthen with longer hair, or excuse me, an older Luthen. I'm sorry, with the long hair, maybe, and greeting Mon Mothma. We saw him with Andor just a few scenes ago. So maybe he's the thread or the through line. To sort of bridge these two characters.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Maybe he introduces the two of them. And we definitely know that Mon Mothma, we're going to see her in her role as an Imperial member, a member of the Imperial Senate. And so I think, gradually she's going to move beyond that. And maybe this meeting, if I'm speculating, Luthen introduces her to Andor, then maybe, we might even really be seeing the first real signs of organized rebellion from her perspective,
right.
Hey, a lot of people are reminding us that, we shouldn't be so surprised about fish being mentioned in Star Wars conversations, because if you recall, in Star Wars Episode 1, Liam Neeson had that classic line.
There's always a bigger fish. Yep.
Always a bigger fish.
Good point. Good point.
I said, George, should we really be calling this thing a fish? And he's like, it's a fish. It swims underwater. What do you want? So that's how fish got into Star Wars.
Tales from Liam Neeson.
I just thought I'd drop by here at Rancho Obi-Wan, and, just kind of lay some wisdom on you, It's a really fine place you got here, Steve. I don't see enough Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon? Is that how you pronounce your name?
Yeah, Qui-Gon. Well, someday he'll come back. Well, I already did. I don't have to BS about it no more.
Took you long enough.
Oh,
He was looking for you for the whole series.
I said, where the hell you been, man? I'm standing out there, you know. It might seem weird, but I am a ghost. But I can get sunburned, you know. I have the very fair skin, even in the afterlife, you know.
It's that Irish skin, we know.
2 sons, you know. All right.
All right.
Qui-Gon out.
Okay, so Luthen saying to Mon Mothma, I'm not slipping. I've just been hiding for too long. So there's the 2 looks, right? So we've got the look here that he has when he greets Mon Mothma with the long silver locks, and then we've got sort of the short blonde hair that we see when he's with Andor. So
RFR is your headquarters for Luthen hairstyles. Yeah, obviously we're seeing time jumps here.
Yes.
That's, typically a device that they would use as storytellers to indicate the time jump is by giving someone longer hair, shorter hair,
right.
Gray hair, dark hair, no hair. It's easy. Ooh, look at it. Look, did you see
What'd
that
we
ship?
miss?
Go back.
What'd we miss?
Colin Cantwell design for the Star Destroyer.
Oh,
it's right there.
With those 2 discs,
Yeah.
the dishes on the ends.
Yes. Now, I believe that design was created for one of the feature films, but it was never really utilized.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you heard anything about this, Steve, but I think they created this model of this classic Colin Cantwell concept for the Star Destroyer that Colin Cantwell came up with in the mid-'70s. It was like really the first ever design for a Star Destroyer. And it was going to be reincorporated into one of the new films like Solo or Rogue One or Rise of Skywalker. I can't remember which one, but here they are utilizing it for the Andor series. And it looks great. I mean, so it's been canonized now.
This ties in with one of my favorite new collectibles, which is a Hot Wheels set of Colin Cantwell models, tiny versions of his ship replicas that he built. And I got it from the Disney store, Disney.com.
Perfect. Yeah, I saw that. It's a great box set. Hot Wheels, Colin Cantwell concept models. His original design for the Land Speeder, the Star Destroyer, the Death Star.
The pirate ship.
The pirate ship, which became the Millennium Falcon. But actually it became the Rebel Blockade Runner, if you want to get technical about it. And some other designs in there. I think his X-Wing is part of that gift set. It's really cool. Really cool. So I think we have a little bit left of this
Just a bit.
Really cool trailer.
This is the world's longest trailer.
Well, it's the longest trailer review. It's the longest trailer review. Welcome to Rebel Force Radio. We take our time with this stuff.
Oh, and here's Mon Mothma looking very regal as she addresses the Senate.
And we see the Imperial cog on her podium.
Yes.
And the formerly Republic Senate, now Imperial.
Right.
And obviously, this is just before Palpatine is going to disband the Senate altogether, send everyone on their merry way. I wonder if we'll see that. Probably not, because these events happen. Well, it had to have happened before Star Wars, or at least during that.
Well, that's the question. Are we going to see Palpatine?
Are we? I think you have to have Palpatine. I think you have to have Darth Vader.
That was the new droid that they showed at San Diego Comic-Con.
Emo? What's B2 Emo?
Emo.
B2 Emo.
Yeah. He looks kind of like a beer cooler. But
Now,
I'm sure he'll be beloved before this is all said and done.
This guy reminds me of the one senator that was in those deleted scenes from episode 3 with the beard, and he was part of the rebellion. Can't think of his name. Fengzar, yeah. This guy's giving me Fengzar vibes.
Well, you'll go far if you hang with Fengzar.
And here, okay, so this is obviously her keeping up appearances. She's having to do all of these. Obviously, she's a politician. She's doing all of these events and that sort of thing, but she's also using it as, clandestine meetings with people probably within the rebellion. This is going to be really great. I mean, the tone of this show, based on this trailer, is so different. What's that, Steve?
Jason, rewind it just a little bit. They showed the guy some people thought was Valorum.
Oh.
And I did see a similarity to, what's that actor's name? He was the Limey. You ever see the Limey? That's a great movie.
No, I never did.
It's a great Terrence Stamp. General Zod. Yeah.
Okay. I can see this.
Right there. Yeah. A little bit.
But he's Coma, if you put on the subtitles, which is a good little tip to cheat a bit with some of these.
It's helping us out.
Coma.
What? Coma.
There's Death Troopers. And this lady shows up again. She
was at the end of the teaser trailer.
That's right. She said it sounded like a reckoning. I believe that was her line.
She seems like some sort of matriarch figure who will.
Maybe she's a Gorgmonger.
I was going to say that. I was going to say the exact Gorgmonger.
Witness the beginning.
They fly around in. Oh, there's
this Clea or Clea. Now, is that possibly the girl that we see hanging out with Andor earlier that we were talking about?
Doesn't look like her, but
well, that's a good question.
I just wonder, it doesn't look. Yeah, but I don't know. You can do a lot with makeup. Is this a cleaned up version of her? She comes out of nowhere, like we should know who she is. This character, I feel like.
Yeah, I'm just doing some online research here, and I guess the kid at the beginning of the trailer is a character named Casa. He's definitely not a young Andor, and this has been confirmed by Lucasfilm.
Okay.
Yeah. And so he is Casa. And then as far as the other character we were just talking about, I don't know who she is. So.
All right. Yeah. To be determined.
Yeah. Clea. I'm tired of losing.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Did we see some clone cadets running through here?
There could be some kind of like clone facility because of the similarity of the hallways to what we see on Camino. But it didn't look like
right
Camino.
Here. That's what I was thinking, but perhaps not. These could be scientists, maybe.
Yeah.
Researchers or what have you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is because you can see Cassian's wearing some sort of similar, white suit. And is that of the same species as Maz Kanata?
I don't think so.
No, but close. Same kind of eyes.
I'm seeing more similarity to Ochi of Bastoon, who's been heavily featured, barely featured in The Rise of Skywalker, but heavily featured in the Marvel comics and novels. He's got similar mechanics, like the Lobot headband and the eye implants. Steve, you a big fan of Ochi of Bastoon? Yeah, of Bastoon.
Don't you? I think you said bassoon, like
bassoon. Yeah, like so. Ochi.
He's not on the top of my list of favorites.
There's not going to be an Ochi of bassoon expansion here at Rancho Obi-Wan.
Well, we may do a shelf.
A shelf. A shelf.
That's the best we can.
The Ochi shelf.
You can only dream.
An Ochio shelf.
So, but that I don't like the size of that.
That's a big needle.
That's a big needle. I mean, that even dwarfs the one on the.
And look at that! That guy's facing the wrong way for that needle.
Well, you have to see who he is.
Yeah.
Who is he?
I don't know.
Who
trying to.
There he is.
I think he's getting it in the backside.
Yeah, I think he is.
And the guy has.
How many arms does he have? This guy looks like he has at least 4 arms. That'd come in handy as a surgeon.
Yeah. Ochi of Bastoon only has 2 arms. So there blows that theory.
Oh, here we go. Little Molotov cocktail throwing. And we see the classic Stormtrooper. Yep.
Lots of talk about real sets, not relying on green screen, not relying on the volume.
They're not using the volume, but they are using a lot of green screen and CG.
All right, well, there you go.
Now, I'm thinking this is young Clea. I'm going on record.
Could be.
This is young Clea, and then we see in the future she ends up being an imp. I love seeing the TIE fighter in action and/or piloting. Wow. Action-packed. And I'll tell you, like I say, guys, the tone of this just seems, I don't know if mature is the right word, but it Star Wars, the series up to this point, I think they have really been kind of focused on a very wide audience. Obviously, kids sitting around watching it. This one feels just a little more adult. Like maybe this is, something to scratch that itch for the grown-ups after the kids go to bed. You watch this Star Wars show with espionage and politics and...
Of course, Obi-Wan getting buried by rocks was hilarious.
Yeah, right. Steve, there's so many people that want to know, and I know our time with you is coming to an end here on this episode of Rebel Force Radio, but because you are one of the most well-known Obi-Wan Kenobi fans, they're dying to know what you thought of the series and what did you take away? What was your big revelation for that character after watching that series?
Well, for me, Ewan McGregor can do no wrong, and I thought the acting in the series was wonderful. I liked Little Leia a lot. I thought it was fun. I mean, I always wondered when they said, well, Ben was in the desert and watching over Luke for all of those years. It just seemed a little weird to me, and I wondered how that happened. And so you get more understanding of what it was like there. I wonder now what they meant by, you can never see him again and does the kid remember Ben? He didn't get introduced to him, so he doesn't remember this crazy guy. I mean, it's all these loose ends which you want to speculate about, which is what I love about Star Wars. Things aren't really nailed down, but I just thought the series was fantastic. A lot of dead people came back to life.
Yeah, right.
No kidding.
Apparently dead people came back to life.
Right.
Well, I didn't get that kind of treatment, though. I take a lightsaber, I say dead. I don't come around.
There's dead, and then there's Qui-Gon.
Yes, Qui-Gon.
Imagine episode 2. If I just showed up without any explanation whatsoever. Huh? Think about that.
There's a message from Brent, who's Brent Hobart, one of our longtime members.
Brent just wanted to say thank you for the years of fun and Star Wars camaraderie. So thanks, Brent. Appreciate it.
Definitely a lot of that going on around here.
We're just in time for the Rancho Obi-Wan Daily Egg Report.
All right, here comes the egg report.
So here comes Stu.
Here comes Stu, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Stu Levy is here, and he is, I always say Stu is one of the most unsung members of organized Star Wars fandom because
disorganized Star Wars fandom,
dysfunctional Star Wars fandom. But Stu lives here on Rancho Obi-Wan with Ann here in the museum. Well, not in the museum; they got their own place. But
got the official Egg Report theme song playing here. What's the report?
And I also do like to say Stu is the minister of vibe here at Rancho Obi-Wan. So take it away, Stu.
And we have good vibes today. Hello, everybody. It's the Rancho Obi-Wan Egg Report for Wednesday, August 3rd, 2022. We've got 4 eggs here of various colors, sizes, and shapes even. We have 14 chickens here at Rancho Obi-Wan. Not all of them lay every day, and a couple of them are old, and they don't lay anymore, but we love them, and they're our pets. And they roam the beautiful grounds.
I can relate.
Some of them may even be Star Wars fans.
I know this one was, or will be, or could be. Great. So that's breakfast. But it's really an amazing place. I mean, there's no place like this. There are actually chickens out there. That one. Okay, come here, Ann. She's waving this. Thing and I have to come. All right.
show and tell, you guys. I found this on the shelf. It's part of one of my collections. The Yoda paint up from Empire Strikes Back.
I love these.
Right?
I love these.
And they're all the same, but everybody who paints it differently. Therefore, they are all different.
Yeah.
And guess who painted this one?
Who? Okay. This one was in my house for a long time. My mom gave me a box of my stuff from, my childhood bedroom that I didn't move out, and this was in there. And I remember painting this, but and I signed the bottom, Jimmy Mack RFR, and I thought it was mine. I've been informed.
Uh-oh.
And I knew I should have never brought him here. But in 2019, Billy Mack took the tour, and he said, hey, that's mine.
Uh-oh.
He said, well, where's mine? Well, Billy says, no, I know for a fact that one's mine. I don't know how he knows. It doesn't say his name on it. He must recognize the brush strokes. But also, judging by the quality of the work, the accuracy of the paint apps, and just the fact that it actually is completed, I'm beginning to think this really was Billy's. So I would love to take credit for this, but since we're streaming worldwide and galaxy-wide, I certainly could not do that. I have a little bit of integrity, even when my brother is involved. So that's it.
Misidentified. That happens occasionally here.
So where's mine? There must be a partially completed Yoda out there somewhere with really sloppy paint apps. That could be a Jimmy Mack original. If you find it, please return it to Rancho Obi-Wan where it should be. So thanks, Ann.
Here's a question from Matthew. Matthew, what do Steve and Ann hope to see in Kenobi season 2? So, Steve, if there's a season 2, what territory would you like to see them cover with that?
We hope to see a season 2. Well, that remains to be seen.
Right.
I mean, Ewan said he would like to see a season 2. I mean, maybe some off-planet adventure, because I don't think we could do anything more with Luke.
Right.
The way the series ended. So he could have some other mission. Although I don't know that you need to do a series 2 of Obi-Wan. I think it stands on its own.
Yeah, I'm with you. But there's one thing I would like to see is in the original 1977 film, before they walk into the Mos Eisley Cantina, Ben says, this place could be a little rough. And he says that from experience. And so I know there's a story about Ben Kenobi in that creature cantina that we haven't heard yet. And that could be a good catalyst, a good threshold moment for him to go on his next adventure, whatever that cantina moment is. So that's what I would like to see.
That would be fun.
All right.
So hopefully it will be a season 2.
Here's Garrett. Garrett says, missed the first hour. Glad to be here now. Rancho is on my bucket list. I put the Yeti mug thing on Facebook, my favorite travel mug brand. All right. So he's the one that might have mentioned that. So thank you very much, Garrett. Appreciate it. And finally, we got Hiso Saul just sending us a super chat. So sending some support. So thank you, Hiso Saul. Appreciate that very much.
Absolutely. We appreciate everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we certainly appreciate your time, Steve. This has been loads of fun, and what a privilege to actually be able to broadcast live from Rancho Obi-Wan and, commandeer your time for 2 hours. And you are a treasure. I saw so many people in the chat saying, this guy's a legend. This guy's a treasure. There's a lot of love for you, Steve, and it's shared here on the show and across fandom. That's for sure.
It's greatly appreciated.
And before we go, I just want to ask you guys what the plans are for the future of Rancho Obi-Wan.
Well, we're looking at our 5-year and 10-year strategic plans. We did something very special at Celebration. We had a combination of 4 major collections. We're looking whether that's something we want to pursue in the future, We'll see. Everything is up in the air right now, but we're doing a lot of investigating, a lot of Anne has been having weekly meetings with our some members of our board of directors for over a year. And there are all kinds of things that we're considering. And I would say stay tuned and we'll see where we go from here.
Excellent. And keep those memberships coming in. Visit ranchoobi1.org for all the information you need about this great place, how you can visit it and take a tour of your very own. ranchoobi1.org. Go to ranchoobi1.org/donate to everyone listening to this podcast in the future. We so much appreciate all the super chats that came in today. You guys went above and beyond. And I know every dime is going to go to help preserve the Star Wars collection that needs to be preserved for future generations to see and enjoy.
And you can always go to the site and sign up for our no obligation email newsletter, and you'll find out the details when we send them out on our August 20th YouTube virtual museum gala.
Yeah, don't miss that. Don't miss that.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, those are always a great time. You guys always do a great job. Thank you so much, Steve Sansweet and Newman.
Thank you, Jimmy Mack and
Jason. And not that one.
I know. I just caught that. This is the one we wanted. Yes. Well, yeah. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. As Jimmy Mack said, the website is ranchoobi1.org. You can go to ranchoobi1.org/donate, and there you can donate any amount that you choose, or you can sign up for a membership. Hello, Ann. Bye, Ann. Thanks so much. And you'll find us here at Rebel Force Radio. Not next. I'm going on vacation next week. We won't be here next week. Little housekeeping. Unless Mac decides to do a show without me, which he has done in the past. Maybe he and Steve will do the show. I don't know. Maybe I've been replaced.
Yeah, maybe I'll just stay here. And look, we got a droid here.
Oh my gosh.
It's Biggs' droid.
R2X2.
Wow. You never know who you're going to run into here at Rancho Obi-Wan.
All right.
New addition to the museum. He's very cool. He's very cool. And of course, what makes him so cool is he belonged to Biggs.
All right. That'll do it for us. Thank everybody for... Thanks everyone that contributed to the super chats and called us up. Thank you also to our call screener, Tyler Page. Tyler, thanks for joining us, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And
Tyler's got the Rancho Obi-Wan shirt on.
Yeah. Are you wearing? Look at that.
Now that's a newer design that was available at Star Wars Celebration. Are those shirts still available? Yeah. Okay. Not online. You have to come here. You have to take a tour, and you can purchase that very cool design. So thank you very much, Tyler Page.
Thanks, Tyler. If you want more Rebel Force Radio in your life, you can go to rebelforceradio.com. Sign up for our Patreon. We appreciate the support there. And don't forget about our YouTube channel. You can see things like this live broadcast. We've got after shows for all of the new Disney Plus series, including The Bad Batch, Obi-Wan Kenobi, 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, and Book of Boba Fett as well. And don't forget our sponsor, Cheeselicious.
Cheeselicious. It's cheesy, it's delicious, it's Cheeselicious. Brought to you by Star Wars Episode 2.
And 20 years old.
All right, thanks everybody at Rancho Obi-Wan. We'll see you next time. Thanks everybody for listening and watching tonight. We'll see you next time for Rebel Force Radio. I'm Jason.
And I'm Jimmy Mack, and
I'm Steve.
And remember,
The Force will be with you, always.